All right. All right. Well, welcome everyone. I'm so happy to be talking today with Kurt Stocks. He's the general manager of LEGOLAND California Resort. And thank you so much, Kurt, for your time.
My pleasure. Delighted to join.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So as someone who's been working in this industry for a while and it's used to roller coasters, tell me a little bit about this roller coaster ride that you're living right now.
Yeah, it's that's an appropriate way to look at it. There's no doubt about that. It's certainly been a challenging year. I think you know my story in that I only arrived in California in January, sort of middle to late January. So, you know, at the time we were gearing up here at the resort for a big spring, and we were launching Lego Movie World here at the resort. It was set to be the single biggest investment that we made inside the park since we opened almost 21 years ago. And unfortunately, you know, events have transpired that hasn't played out exactly how we expected. And you know, our priorities have most certainly changed in terms of how we've looked at this year. And you know, we've obviously been forced into a very different scenario in terms of how we're looking after our business and some of the decisions that we've had to make. We accept that it's very much uncontrollable, but you know, we've had to work our way through. And you know, I've been really proud of the team here in terms of how they've taken on the challenge and how they've worked through it, and how they've prepared us to reopen whenever we get the green light.
Absolutely. You know, and just to be more specific, you know, as the general manager of such a huge employer here in Carlsbad and a key attraction for visitors and locals alike here in North County, what have been those top priorities and what have been your biggest challenges in accomplishing them?
Yeah, I think early on, I think when it became clear that we were headed towards a closure, I don't think we foresaw how long we would, you know, be closed for. We didn't, under any circumstances, expect for us to be sat here middle of July without a clear date on when we'd be reopening our park. That didn't even seem to be comprehensible at the time. But nevertheless, our first actions were very much around our staff. We understood that given that we have a high percentage of variable seasonal staff in our business, we would have to, I guess, make some adaptations and some changes to the way we looked after our staff early on, mainly to ensure that we maintained their well-being. And very early in the piece, as we started to look at furloughs and various scenarios, we have proudly maintained full benefits for all our staff. Since the first staff member was put onto furlough, we have been able to maintain those full benefits. Prior to the CARES Act being finalized in March, April, any staff that were on furlough was still getting paid, which was something that we were really happy to be able to deliver. Fortunately, the CARES Act has kicked in, and the unemployment benefits in California are relatively strong at the moment, but definitely maintaining the benefits for staff was a big one. Outside of that, we really focused on preparedness, both in terms of how our operation needed to change, and we undertook a process to build a set of health and safety guidelines that would help us meet the expectations of the new protocols that were going to be in place and become the new norm. But we also had to look at preparedness to reopen our resort. You know, we're a theme park. We're 2 water parks, an aquarium, and 2 hotels. We're not the type of business that you can flick a switch and walk out and then come back 4 months later, flick that switch again and start again. So we had to learn a lot very quickly on the run in terms of you know, how we could de-escalate our business, but keep it idling along for when we did get that opportunity to reopen, particularly if we were going to reopen into summer trading. Mm-hmm. And I think the other point that I'd make in terms of, from my perspective, that and my team, in terms of what we've done our best to focus on is communication, not only to the wider market, but also to our staff. At this time of year, we would have almost 3,000 staff working for us coming into a summer peak. at the moment, even with our hotel open, we're around 100 staff that are currently working for us. So it's a very different scenario to what we're used to. We've got a lot of staff that are on furlough, and we've tried our best. And granted, we haven't always been perfect, but we've tried our best to maintain a really good level of communication in terms of what's happening around the resort and where we're at with our reopening process.
Mm-hmm. Yes, no, I remember meeting you back in February and being all excited about everything coming up. I mean, we had our huge sustainability forum that was amazing. And I remember our conversation about the Lego movie attraction. And we were literally, what, a week or two? I had just sent my RSVP. How crushing is that?
Yeah, it's disappointing, but you know, at the same time, like I said, we appreciate there's very little that we can control in that situation. I think if you spin it around and we look at the positives, which is what we're trying to do at the moment, we've got a wonderful new land sitting there ready to go, and you know, whilst we'll probably hold it back to spring next year, it's there, it's ready to go, and it will be as good, if not better, next year as it would have been this year. So it's a big positive there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I have been talking with a lot of people also about that same exact attitude of, which is hard to get to, the acceptance part of it and the working with what you can control. So that definitely has shown in all the efforts Legoland have done online, on social media. Absolutely. How easy or difficult has it been to navigate those public health orders that are ever changing?
Yeah, they're ever changing, and sometimes they're a little inconsistent. You know, as I personally, from my perspective, as I navigate, you know, between city and county and state and federal, and you know, as a relative newcomer to California, that's been a navigation for myself. And seeing that there can be inconsistencies from city to city and county to county is something to get my head around myself. But look, I think generally the benefit that we've had is that we've always had, through media reporting, we've always had a relatively good level of expectation as to what was coming. So I can't remember too many instances where we've been caught off guard in that the public health orders have gone into a place that we weren't expecting. In fact, I can't remember any. So I think from that perspective, it's been fine. You know, I think if we were to have a wish list, it would just be for probably a little more consistency and understanding of, you know, particularly our situation. And you know, we've been really fortunate in that we've, you know, we have, I guess, a position in the community here in Carlsbad where, you know, it's relatively easy for us to have a discussion with the city and then with the county and the state in terms of our plans to reopen. And we've been really grateful for the support that we've got, starting with the city itself about our readiness to reopen. And you know, we've experienced every time that we've shared with anybody our plans for reopening, how I'm careful what I say here because I don't want to sound overly positive, but generally people have been impressed with what we have ready to go and how the level of detail that we've gone into in terms of readiness for reopening. So, you know, we know we're really well positioned to reopen when the time comes.
Well, I had mentioned, for whatever it's worth, I had mentioned one of your staffers that I hold a membership pass, and I brought all my family on July 5th, 2 days or 1 day before Sea Aquarium closed, and there was not even one moment where I felt unsafe, uncomfortable, and we had a great time. We had a great time. We missed the park so much that we really took, you know, every single moment, and we're grateful for it. But I'd love to hear about the behind the scenes, because it was very intentional, the way you know, you come in from before the experience, from the booking online, you know that you're going to a place that's prepared. So tell me about that work that goes into adjusting for these times.
Yeah, we're very fortunate in that we operate resorts all around the world. So even before we were even considering a shutdown, we were working on a set of revised health and safety guidelines that we felt that we were eventually going to need to work towards based on everything else that was happening around the world. And we have the benefit of being able to take on resource and best practice from our other sites around the world. And we sort of all learn off each other in terms of establishing best practice, which was really good. Locally, what we did once those guidelines were established is we basically took a deep dive in terms of a risk assessment on our entire business. And, we've got a relatively complex business. So it took a long time to strip it all down and strip it all back to a start point and just look at where we were potentially exposed in terms of the adaptations that we may need to make in order to keep our staff and our guests safe in what would be the new normal. That took quite a bit of time to get done. And once it was done, we were then able to start to rebuild our own procedures. So, Sea Life is a really good example of us being able to road test some of those procedures. We're seeing it now in the hotel. We're delighted to be able to report that everything is holding up exactly as we expected. And I think that's partly because of some good planning, but it's also because of, I think our guests are behaving very, very well. There's a social expectation now, despite how you feel about masks or temperature checks and so on. It's an expectation that if you want to visit an attraction or a hotel like ours, it's just part of the experience, and it's what we're going to do, and we won't necessarily negotiate on all that. So fortunately, our staff, our guests have been really supportive, really, really well behaved. But the big test for us is when we open our park, because that's the biggest part of what we do. That's what is going to be most different about the experience. But we're looking forward to it. We've got confidence from the little bit of opening that we've done.
Yeah, I think that the setting the expectation before the actual experience on the booking, on the rating, on the thing, I mean, what you're going to, you're going where you're going to on what to expect, what's going to happen. You're going to get your temperature check. So I'm so happy to know that you can just move that to the hotel because you had to shut the aquarium pretty quickly.
Yeah, we did. Opening Sea Life was, I would say, relatively straightforward. Although we had to open with a lot of new protocols, it was straightforward for us because our animal welfare team, who look after the fish and everything that's living inside Sea Life, they didn't really go anywhere. Fish still need to be fed, yeah. Tanks still need to be cleaned, maintenance on all that equipment still needs to take place. So opening Sea Life was relatively straightforward. The hotel is a slightly different proposition because the hotel was closed for a period of time. So we did have to obviously apply the new protocols, but operationally ready the hotel to accept guests under new conditions. And fortunately we've done that relatively well, I think. Although it's early days, it's been a really nice week or so to see guests and families and kids back in the resort and smiling and doing what they do.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about those safety precautions at the hotel. Like, what should people expect when booking their trip? Are you like at full capacity? How many rooms? Just for people who are trying to come, what should they expect?
Yeah, so our website is, we've done a lot of focus on pre-arrival communications and we tell the story on our website, and we'll do something very similar when we open the park. So you mentioned it before about the Sea Life experience. That's exactly what we want to achieve in terms of that pre-arrival education for the guests. Whether you've been here before or it's your first time, we want to make sure that everybody understands what to expect when they arrive, so that we don't have to do a lot of the education when guests arrive to stay at the hotel or to visit the park. But you can expect as you arrive at the hotel, for example, we will do temperature checks at the front desk for everybody. We will have the expectation of masks for all our guests or anyone that's 2 years or older. You will see distancing protocols in place throughout the entire resort. You will see increased sanitation and cleaning activity, not only in public areas like our lobbies and our restaurants, but also some of the high volume areas such as the play areas, the pool areas, and of course rooms. there'll be a lot more sanitization, personal sanitization stations through the resort, and in particular in the hotel. So we've significantly increased hand wash stations, and the nature of what we do meant that, you know, with families and kids, we had a lot of these stations already in place, but we've just very much increased those. And operationally, we're a little bit different. You know, we're moving to contactless payment where we can. Our food and beverage offering, whether it be poolside or breakfast in Brick's restaurant, is very, very different. For example, our breakfast is essentially a grab and go offering at the moment, which has been really well received, but it's just very different to the standard sit down buffet offering that we would normally have.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know what, my mom's friends were asking me, you know, oh my gosh, so it's open, so what is it like? I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna talk to the general manager, I'll ask him. They were asking really about the Legos, all those pieces that are for kids to play. Do you still have them?
Yeah, so in public areas, so I guess one of the outcomes of us reworking our operational protocols is that we had to identify areas that, at least in the first phase of opening, some things we just can't do. You know, there might be some rides that we can't operate. There might be some experiences that just don't work for us. So in the interest of, I guess, maintaining this attitude that we have of, oh, what can we do, and that's sort of how the hotel opening, for example, came about. Is what can we do with what we have available to us? We're able to maintain, to go back to your question, we're able to maintain the loose bricks in the rooms, because that's a contained, sanitized area. When a family vacates the room, we actually swap the bricks over. We take them out and they get completely sanitized, and we put a new set in. But in the public areas, we can't guarantee that level of sanitization, you know, because everybody would be touching them. So those play areas in the hotel are empty at the moment in terms of the bricks. Similar to outdoor play areas, the indoor play areas, or any play areas in the hotel, in terms of climbing areas or swings and so on, has to, you know, be out of action for the moment. So operationally, it's very different from a guest perspective. If they've stayed with us before, it's very different, but you know, we still have a lot on offer, and it's still a really fun staycation, I think, for most, which is nice.
It's always fun. It's always fun. Just to walk in, it's just like, it's super, super fun. So how do you stay focused through all this? Like, personally, as the leader of these amazing team, how do you stay focused and at the same time take time for yourself and your family? I mean, your kids were, you know, we know that you guys had to homeschool as well. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think professionally, it's easy for us to maintain focus at the moment, because we're working so hard and we're running so fast to get ourselves reopened. If I could share the level of excitement and enthusiasm that existed across the resort, even though we've got a really small amount of staff back with us at the moment, just the delight on people's faces to see guests come back to even a restricted hotel offering last week was absolutely fantastic. But you know, our focus, fortunately, the fact that our park is open guarantees our focus doesn't waver at all at the moment, because any moment that's not dedicated to anything we need in the park here is put into us having conversations that'll help us get reopened. Unfortunately, at the moment, with the conditions as they are across California, it's a little bit of a stalemate. There's very little we can do in terms of pushing our case to be part of a reopening plan when the state is actively reversing some of the opening decisions. So you know, we're trying to be as productive as we can be there in terms of, you know, our case for reopening. From a family perspective, there's no doubt it's difficult, and you know, I appreciate I'm not the only one in this situation, but I have 3 young children myself, only one of which is old enough to do homeschooling. But you know, I see, you know, even with them, how difficult it is, you know, just to try and understand exactly what's going on around them, because life is life is so different. And I think from our perspective as a family, we just look for the same types of opportunities that I hope that we've provided here with the hotel to just get out and do things in a safe environment, do things that help us get together as a family, and in a way try and find a little bit of normality that we're comfortable with. And that was really the objective behind us pushing the button on getting the hotel open. It was not something that we'd ever conceive of running the hotel without the park, because they're generally so reliant on each other. But when you look at how much there is to do here in Carlsbad, how good the weather is at the moment, if you can stay at the Legoland Hotel and still enjoy the beaches and the running tracks and all those sorts of things as a family, why not do it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so what advice, because we talk with business owners, we talk with the small businesses, with the staff, with employees, we're always engaging with them. And so what advice would you give to those leaders, to those leads of small businesses, medium business, larger businesses, to adjust to these circumstances and just to keep going?
Yeah. Okay. It's a unique situation. We're all very much being thrust into this for the first time. So I think we're all learning. I'm not sure that anybody is necessarily an expert out there. And, I think early on from myself and my team, we accepted that, we will always act with the best intentions of our team and our business to do the right things. We won't get everything perfect. There are so many moving parts. There are so many things that you can make a decision on in the morning, and a set of events take place that are completely out of your control that make the morning decision completely useless, if you know what I mean. And you have to completely rework your thinking and your approach to certain scenarios. So I think accepting that you need to be flexible and agile, and that you won't be perfect is probably really, really important. I think we've done a good job at calling on the expertise that we have in our team, to help us communicate to our staff, to ready us for a reopening plan and reopening phase when the time comes. And I think we've also been really good at reaching out beyond our walls where we've needed support. And I've seen a lot of businesses do the same to us, in that, as we've shared our plans and people have understood what we've prepared for in terms of reopening, there are similar businesses, like-minded businesses out there that have been really proactive in reaching out to us and saying, hey, can you share your plans? Can we talk through what are your suggestions on certain scenarios? And I think anyone who's got, either from a leadership perspective, you've just got to have that open-minded attitude at the moment, that we don't know everything. We're not going to get everything right. And we have to reach out for support and guidance and expertise wherever we can.
That's great. And so what do you look forward to the most when this is over?
What do we look forward to? I know from a professional perspective, I can't wait to be able to walk down to the front gate at 9:30 in the morning and see our guests lined up with kids so eagerly anticipating what's about to happen for the day. I look forward to getting into the car park here at the office and hearing the Dragon Coaster going around and kids screaming and having fun, and all those things that just make what we do so special and make it really all worthwhile. I think for the people that work here in our business, that's what we miss. We miss those noises, we miss the smiles, and we've had a small piece of it with Sea Life and the hotel, but we can't wait to get back to what we would consider business as usual, because that's what really makes it worthwhile for us. On a personal perspective, as a father of 3 young children, I just look forward to that time, hopefully, before too long, where we can make plans to go out and feel confident with what those plans are going to be, that we're going to be safe, and we can relax a little bit and see life go back to what we might consider as almost normal.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this conversation, for being so candid about sharing your personal journey and what Legoland has gone through. Yeah. And we'll continue to be in touch And thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.